Part 5. According to Wikipedia under Spartanates. Spartiate. Perceptual context. Listen closely. They are about to tell us about the clone super soldiers in the Spartan army. Buckle up, buttercups. Quote, the Spartanates, in Greek it means those who are alike, were the males of Sparta known to the Spartans as peers or men of equal status. From a young age, male Spartanates were trained for battle and put through grueling challenges intended to craft them into fearless warriors. In battle, they had the reputation of being the best soldiers in Greece, and the strength of the Spartans' hoplite forces let the city become the dominant state in Greece throughout much of the classical period. Stop! Bingo! So as you can plainly hear, it was the clone Spartanates among the Spartans that were the badasses, not the Spartans themselves. Notice it said they were, quote, the strength of the Spartans' hoplite forces with an S, which can only mean, and you will soon see, the hoplite forces consisted of different and distinct races with different and distinct jobs that made up the one mighty Spartan army. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Check out how badass these cats were. Quote, other city-states were reluctant to attack Sparta, even though it could muster a force of only about 8,000 Spartanates during the zenith of its dominance. Such was the reputation of its soldiers. Stop! Bingo, bingo! The first bingo was for proving once again the Spartanates were different than the Spartans. And the other bingo is for how badass they must have been. Think about it like little Miss Ivy. Only 8,000 Herculeans, that's what I want to say, only 8,000 Herculeans needed to keep not only other Greeks' minds right, but that's all that was needed that kept other much larger nations at bay as well. This is one of the reasons that leads little Miss Ivy and myself to believe they were artificially enhanced in the factory. You know, like an M kit or AMG. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Under structure of Spartan society. Quote, Spartan society in the classical period was rigidly divided into several castes, each with assigned duties and privileges. The smallest of these, with the most power and freedom, was the Spartanate elite. Spartanates were exempt from manual labor and controlled the government of the state. Listen to this. Spartanate men were expected to prepare constantly for military conflict. Below the Spartanates were the Perioikoi, literally dwellers around, inhabitants of outlying towns who carried out most of the trade and commerce of the city, since the Spartanates were forbidden from engaging in commercial activity. Stop! Bingo! How on earth? No, little Miss Ivy, that's not strong enough. I gotta say it. How in Hades can you be the elite and control the government and not be allowed to buy a Slurpee on a hot Greek day? There's only one answer, ladies and gentlemen. They were Rhodian Shasu super soldiers who didn't know their left hand from their right, but was damn good when it came to a fight. I'm going to say that again. They were Rhodian Shasu super soldiers who didn't know their left from their right, but they was damn good when it came to a fight. And because we know the only thing the white man respect is power, of course they were going to run the show. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Listen to how deep this is. Quote, further down the ladder were the Helots, enslaved populations tied to the land and over whom the Spartan state claimed ownership. In the late 5th century BC and later, a new class, the Neodalites, which is the new democracy dwellers, arose. It seems to have been composed of liberated Hellites. Also, there were the hypo something means inferiors, men who were probably, although not certain, Spartanites who had lost social rank. Stop. Bingo. How does a new caste and class of people arise in a military-based society? No. These were the different upgrades to or downgrades, upgrades of things that was needed to each make and model from tech support. Am I God's will? We will investigate all of them in due time to prove just what I tried to say. Also, did you notice my voice inflection when it said, quote, it seems to have been composed of liberated Hellites? I did that because, as you will see when we read about them, there is an uncanny parallel between them and the true Israelites during the heart of the Jim Crow, which can only mean there is no way in '80s a Hellite could be liberated and stay alive in Greece. Let me tell you, you'll see. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Under origins of the Spartan system, quote, according to classical accounts, the Spartan constitution was the product of a great lawgiver, Lycurgus. I'm just going to call him the Ale Man. He was said to have written the Spartan constitution late in the Archaic period, most likely in the 770s BC. It is impossible to determine whether the Ale Man was an actual historical figure. Listen up for the upgrade, people. Listen to this. It is clear, however, that at some point in the late Archaic period, the model of Spartan society was changed from a monarch system to a aristocrat system of elite warrior class. Let me say it again. It is clear, however, that at some point in the late Archaic period, the model of Spartan society was changed from a monarchical system, monarch, to a aristocrat for the elite warrior class. Bingo. Just like I said. Watch. This change is likely to have been in some way related to the change from Dark Age warfare, in which nobles were the dominant force, to the hoplite warfare of the classical period. Around the time of this change in system, Sparta embarked on the conquest of the neighboring states of Messenia. This acquisition of a large piece of territory and a large conquered population seemed to have both provided the basis for the system of heliotage and required the existence of a large military force to keep the potentially rebellious Messenians under control. Listen up, listen up. The Spartanates thus became a permanently armed master class, living off the labor of the Heliotes and preventing rebellion through constant struggle. I'm going to say that again. Understand what they just said. The Spartanates thus became a permanent armed master class, living off the labor of the Heliotes and preventing rebellion through constant struggle. Stop. Bingo. So as you can see, and just as Little Miss Ivy and I figured, just like the Shasu, when the Dorian Armada was finally settled in, the Spartanettes, Herculeans, I call them Spartanettes, Herculean warrior class, created their own master race, Ubermensch military bases throughout the territories. Let me say it again. Just like the Shasu. Now remember the Anastasia Steele. It was telling us how these the military might of the Armadas, the new and fresh people that came in, how they, went into these different territories. Some went to Esau, to Edom, and that's who Esau mixed in with, this, that, and the other. And they were the military and the dominant force. That's where false Israel is at too, that we discovered. we'll upload those in when the time comes. Those videos will come back up. But just like them, when the Dorians were already settled, they broke off. They had no other duties. The Dorians had their own, Spartans had their own military, and Athenians, they had their own military, and I think the Ionians, they had their own military, and there was one other group that made up the Dorians. Once they were all settled, they broke off. The Shasu broke off and created their own master race. But they put garrisons in each of the Dorians' homeland. So they were like super soldiers. Yeah, basically, that's just it. They were super soldiers. Well, let me say it again. Just like the Shasu, when the Dorian Armada was finally settled in, the Spartanet Herculean warrior class created their own master race Ubermensch military bases throughout the territories. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Under the lifestyle of the Spartanet class, quote, during the 6th and 5th century BC, the Spartan system was at its height. In 555 BC, Sparta defeated the Tees and forced that state to become its ally. What? You defeat them for the purpose to become friends. Interesting. Let's continue. Around 544 BC, Sparta defeated Aid, establishing itself as the preeminent power in the Peloponnese. For over 150 years, Sparta became the dominant land power of Greece, with the Spartanet hoplites serving as the core of its army. Another bingo. Quote, to maintain the social system of the city, it was necessary to have a force ready to oppose any uprising of the Helots, an event which occurred several times in the classical period. To ensure their military readiness, Spartanate youth enrolled in military training, the agage, from the age of 7 onward to 30, the age of full citizenship. Listen up, listen up. From that age, the age of 30, until they became too old to fight, they would live in their barracks, visiting their families and later their wives only when they could sneak out. Stop. Bingo! Surely we know these are clones specifically designed to mentally endure this type of void of family relationships. Another question. How do you reproduce and replace if you got to sneak out to do it? The answer? Clone super soldiers. I also believe there was another reason why they were confined this way. Remember when I mentioned how they reminded me of the Nephilim before the flood? Well, it appears, mind you, when we dig a little deeper into these super soldiers, because we're going to dig a little deeper, it appears they have an appetite for destruction, blood, and murder that must be fed every so often. No crap, no crap. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Check this. Even though they are trying to be coy by using synonymous wording, here is yet another telltale sign the Spartanets were different than the Spartans. Quote, Spartanet women, as well, were expected to remain athletically fit since the Spartans believed that strong and healthy parents would produce strong and healthy children. Stop. Bingo. The only way this sentence makes sense is if they are telling us about two different people, one adhering to the moral authority of another. Let's continue for more clues. Quote, Spartanets were expected to adhere to an ideal of military valor, exemplified by the poem of the Tea Man, who praised men who fell in battle and heaped scorn on those who fled. Each Spartanet male, not Spartan male, but Spartanet male, was assigned a plot of land with the Heliots that worked it. This was the source of his income, since he performed no labor or commerce himself. The primary use of this income was to pay the dues of the communal mess hall, to which all Spartanets were required to belong. Any Spartanet who was unable to pay these dues was demoted from the class. Politically, the Spartanet males composed the army's assembly, the body which elected the ephors, the most powerful magistrates of Sparta after the kings. The Spartanets were also the source of the KRYPTEIA. We're going to read them next. A sort of secret police which, through measures such as assassinations and kidnappings, sought to prevent rebellions among the Helaites. Stop! Bingo! Here is yet another reason why I say there is a parallel between the Hillites and the true Israelites, especially during Jim Crow. What I mean is, they do wickedness under the guise of protecting themselves. You know, ancient stand your ground law type bullocks. What I'm trying to say is, as you will soon see, just like the specific strain of white man that could pull off the horrors of Jim Crow with a straight face, the Spartanets, they terrorized, their words not mine, the people they say they were protecting themselves from. Stay tuned. My God's will.